you have a few words ahead of today's appearance?
This guy is a winner. I'm never going to say anything.
I am so glad that I live in America, a place where we actually have freedom of speech and you can't get arrested for mean tweets, which of course is exactly what happened to comedy writer Graham Linehan over in England when he deboarded his plane and was immediately arrested by 5 armed officers for making untoward comments about a certain group over there in England. But of course, that's what we're going to see today being discussed, where Andrew Wilson is going to completely destroy Ava Santina and possibly Cenk Uygur on this exact same topic. But before we begin, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for this video so we can break through the algorithms. Here we go.
Is it right, in your mind, that he should be seized by 5 armed police officers on his re-entry to the United Kingdom? Do you feel comfortable with that happening to somebody for a few inflammatory, comedically intended posts on social media?
I think you're going to be very surprised by my answer, and I would say that I don't think it's right that he has been arrested. I think that he has made a career out of being hateful. I think that what he does to that community is incredibly dangerous, and I worry about the trans men and women who have to experience the fallout of his disgusting tirades every single day. But it does scare me that he was arrested, and it scares me that people are being arrested for what they're posting on social media. And I think that the government here and the Metropolitan Police need to be clearer about what the parameters are of what you can and can't post online if they're going to legislate on it. I think the worry, though, is that many trans people don't know how to deal with the vitriol or the fallout after he's had one of his explosions. I mean, you can't sue him, you can't shut him up, but every single day they have to deal with the tirade that falls on them.
Let me bring Andrew Wilson in here. So, Andrew, Graham Linehan, I'm not even sure if you're familiar with him, but he's one of the most successful comedy people in the country over here. But he's been at the centre of this debate for a long time with his very stark views about this trans issue. He's been bailed by the UK police, but only with the condition that he doesn't go on X. He wrote on Substack, in a country where pedophiles escape sentencing, where knife crime is out of control, where women are assaulted and harassed every time they gather to speak, the state had mobilised 5 armed officers to arrest a comedy writer. What is your response to that?
Well, his tweets are satirical in nature. It is comedy based. She's right. He shouldn't have been arrested, but she's also wrong in the fact that, look, people are done with the trans thing. They've had enough of it. This whole, they're just kind of regular people like you and me, but happen to dress up like with. No, that's not really what's going on. You've unleashed an entire fleet of mentally ill lunatics on the public, and now we have to deal with the fallout of it. We have to deal with having to deal with these people on a day-to-day basis. A lot of people are sick of it. This guy is just echoing the thing which is in a lot of our minds, which is that, hey, we're kind of tired of these mentally ill lunatics on our streets. We really are.
Ava?
I find that really frightening. I mean, why would you say someone was mentally ill because they feel they were born in the wrong body? I mean, does that give you pleasure or joy to just stamp down on someone's, personhood? What's the intent here?
Do you value truth? Because
of course I value truth, yeah.
Good. Then here's what's true. What's true is that if you're a man, you can't be a woman. And if you're a woman, you can't be a man. That's what's true.
I don't think it's helpful to get into
Hang on. I'll let you talk, but let me finish. Your attempt to gaslight everybody into the opposition of this truth builds resentment. And it's that resentment that you have to deal with. And you have done it to yourself. Like most of these things, the left does it to themselves. It's very obvious. People are not going to accept this. The trans agenda has stalled, and it's stalled out the LGBTQ agenda with it because you're trying to gaslight people into something which is obviously not true.
I think that, if you look just 30 years ago in the United Kingdom, we were treating gay men in the same way that we are now treating trans people. The mood does shift and the mood moves. And, I think that the stalwart belief here that we need to hold is that if someone does feel that they are born in the wrong body, it does not affect me as a woman if they decide that they are going to be a trans woman. It doesn't affect me.
The bigger problem to me is the hatred that trans people are getting that is irrational. So this guy, when he does the tweets about the smelling and the homophobia and misogyny and all that stuff, I don't care. Those are just his opinions, and no one should ever be punished for their opinions, even if they're terribly obnoxious, right? When he gets into, hey, if you see a trans person in the wrong place, start screaming about them and maybe physically assault them, That depends on the laws in the UK. But if you're threatening violence like that in general, yeah, it might be something the cops should talk to you about. And having nothing to do with your opinions about trans people or anything else, it's just that you're threatening violence. And then this other guy, the dude with the beard here, I mean, okay, so this is a common thing that the extreme right does. Okay, in my mind, there is no such thing as feeling like a woman. And I agree, I don't have that in my mind either. That doesn't mean that other people don't. I don't know why that's such a hard thing for folks to understand. So you weren't born that way, but they were. You think they're just all lying? And why would they be lying? And this whole thing of calling people who don't think like you mentally ill is actually super stupid. It's literally unintelligent, okay? So people think in different ways. They have different proclivities, including sexual proclivities and gender proclivities. If you can't understand that simple concept and you think anyone who doesn't think like me is mentally ill, there's actually something profoundly wrong with you.
All right, Andrew Wilson, there's something profoundly wrong with you.
Yeah, sure. Well, nobody said what was articulated to you was something which is
Yeah, it's
pure
actually
logic,
kind of exactly
which-
what you said.
Well, yeah, what was articulated to you was
logic.
pure logic, and I'll explain the pure logic. You have no comparison to make as a male for what a female does even feel like. That's how we know it's a mental illness, Cenk. It's really simple. It's the law of identity. I hope that you know what logic is, because that's what that is. It's the law of identity. You can't make a comparison for what it is to feel like a female, Cenk. It's not possible because you're not one. That's how that works. Stop trying to gaslight me. Stop trying to pretend that I don't know what a male is, what a female is. Stop trying to pretend that I don't know what mental illness is. The mark of mental illness is irregularities in behavior. That's how you know what it is, Cenk. How else would you even know?
Cenk?
So, okay, that doesn't make any sense at all, and it defies logic completely. So, first of all, you say, how would I know what's inside their heads? That's my point to you, brother. It just seems like you have trouble understanding simple, rational reasoning.
My question to you is, how can you make a comparison?
How would you know what's in a trans person's head? You don't know what's in their head. Instead, what you're doing is a simple concept called projection. Hey, since I feel this way, you should feel this way. And then you start talking about irregularities. No, there's a difference between, hey, someone is detached from reality and is committing violence. Okay, that's a mental illness, regardless of what their background is, right? But when you say irregularities in general, what is regular? And let me guess, you're going to claim that whatever you think is regular and everything else is mentally ill.
It's defined.
And then you call that logic? No, it's the last thing from logic.
How can you ever identify what mental illness was unless it was irregularity in behavior? It wouldn't even be possible. Not only that, you still didn't address the point.
It's
you
not
never
just
addressed any
irregularity.
actual point. Yeah, but that would be the process for the identification of mental illness is irregularity in behavior. It's the study of the mind. That's what psychology is. Also, you didn't address the point. How is it that a male could have any comparative cognitive function to know what a female feels like? They can't. It isn't possible. You just said you don't know what's in their heads. Don't need to. I know it's not possible for a male to know what it's like to feel like a female. It's not a possibility.
Now, to their credit, both Cenk and Ava actually admit that Linehan shouldn't be arrested. All right, so good for them. They do believe in free speech. But of course, what they're not interested in is people actually making a factual argument. Okay, do you believe in truth? That's the first thing that Andrew Wilson says to Ava, right? Do you actually believe in truth? Because that's why you should really care about the whole trans issue. All right, because by the way, on the right, we don't care if people want to be trans at all. You go ahead and do whatever you want to do. Just don't try to force us to believe your delusion. Don't try to take over women's sports and spaces, and definitely don't try to teach this stuff to our children. That's where we draw the line. But both Cenk and Ava are out there saying, how can you call these people mentally ill? All right. And this is another great point brought up by Andrew Wilson, right? When we talk about irregularities, do you actually believe in delusions? Do you think things that are not true are actually real? That would be a great place to start to define mental illness, a detachment from reality. And I love the way he phrases it, right? How can a man ever know what a woman feels like, right? We have no basis for that. Now, it's true that we've done studies on preferences, and they're accurate to about 60 to 70% in terms of the male brain versus the female brain. But how would you actually know what it feels like to be female with all of their bodily functions, etc.? But of course, the left-leaning people people always try to frame that as some type of rage against trans, some type of hatred against trans. And as I said at the beginning, we don't care. Live your best life. Just don't expect us to live your delusion with you. Because when you do that, guess what? We get the trans fatigue and we get fed up with all of your activism real quick. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and say hi to your mom for me. Do you like t-shirts? Of course you do. And now you can support the channel by buying an Angry Teacher t-shirt designed by me, Angry Teacher. So if you like America, if you like freedom, if you like liberty, then go ahead and click the link in the description, where all designs, of course, are 100% mother approved. So enjoy yourself and find something you like today.